Are you ready to unlock the secret to a thriving and fulfilling marriage? Do you want to build a deep and unbreakable bond, a connection with your spouse that goes beyond the surface? If the answer is yes, then you're in the right place. Welcome to Demonstrate Your Love with Impact, cracking the code of your spouse's heart. Today, I'm going to share with you a real life practical solution that can transform your marriage and create a connection that's stronger than ever. Stick with me. In a few minutes, you'll have the keys to a happier and more fulfilling marriage. I'm John Golda with Solid Rock Marriage Restoration, and I'm glad you could join me. Let's address the heart of the problem. Feeling unloved by your spouse. It's a deep, heart-wrenching emotion that can leave you feeling lonely, isolated, emotionally distant. You may feel like your partner doesn't truly understand or appreciate you, and that can lead to a profound sense of sadness and frustration. You see, it's not uncommon for couples to experience this, even if their partner genuinely tries to show love, because we all experience love differently. And when our partner expresses love in a way that doesn't align with our love language and how we receive love and feel loved, it can leave us feeling unfulfilled and unloved. So I'm going to use personal example from my marriage to illustrate. And so hopefully this example can be helpful to you. Hearing encouraging words from me that would build up my wife, Tanya, and tell her how much I appreciated her love and loved her meant a lot more to her than if I helped her with chores around the house. But I didn't understand this at the time. So when we were early in our marriage, I was trying to show my love by helping her. So one example would be, and this is, I'll reveal some about personality too. I thought she was struggling with doing the dishwasher because the way she approached it was different than the way I would approach it. And this is a trivial item, but still, these are great examples for how we can get caught up. And so I felt like I would intervene and help with an act of service by showing her a better way and helping her with the dishwasher. Now, here's the problem. I was getting frustrated because I was trying to get the dishwasher done better. And I was probably in my mindset more interested in trying to teach her a better way to do it, my way, than really just serve. But I thought she needed help, and so I was doing it. But I ended up kind of banging heads, if you will, on how to do it because we had different styles in approaching it. And so what I meant to be an act of service to show my love ended up being not so great. It ended up being a problem where we would actually have some friction involved. And really what she needed was not acts of service. She needed me to tell her I loved her and to use words of affirmation, which for me just seemed too easy, almost empty. You know, how does that show my love if I just tell her? But that would have been more effective. And so it's so important to learn how our spouse receives love and train ourselves to show it to them in their language rather than our own. It wasn't important. If I want to show love to Tanya, it's less important how I receive love and more important how she receives love. And so I need to learn what her language is and then communicate in that language. So if you fast forward, though, here's another tip. These love languages can change. And so if you fast forward a bit, we had a couple kids. Life is busier. She doesn't have as much time. They're young. And suddenly, those acts of service seem to be much more important to her as a way of showing love because she was very busy with the young children in the home. And so I needed to pick up on that change as well. So you can't just learn the language and say, all right, I got it. I'm done. I never have to think of it again. You have to keep coming back and paying attention to your spouse and talking with them and understanding what their needs are and how they feel loved. And so, of course, there's no penalty for showing love in more than one way. Words of affirmation and acts of service, right? So there's no penalty for that. But we need to understand our spouse and their language. And of course, we want them to understand us and how we receive love as well. So, one resource that I found very useful and my wife Tanya found useful in understanding and navigating this terrain is The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. Whether or not you've heard about it, read it, or even attended a seminar or study about it, I strongly encourage you to make sure you have a copy of this book or ebook in your library. Put it on your short list of books to read and study with your spouse in the near future. You may want to have, once a year, once every other year, a little refresher. I personally consider this, very important as a part of developing a deeper understanding with your spouse and showing love to them. The summary, as many of you may have heard, is Chapman breaks down how people give and receive love in 5 categories. Words of affirmation, so saying things that express how you love them and how you feel, that build them up. Quality time, spending time together. Receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. Physical touch can be as simple as a hug or a hand on the shoulder. It can be obviously more intimate for a married couple. Most of us will have 1, maybe 2 dominant love languages. Actually, I did this with the whole family, and in the case of one of my daughters, she's pretty well balanced across 3 or 4, but most of us have 1 or 2 that are dominant. And you may be able to simply think about yourself and your spouse for a while and see more clearly which of these love languages really resonate with you and for them. However, again, no penalty for talking through the concept with your spouse instead of guessing. I actually found it very helpful to have an open discussion with Tanya, and then again periodically refresh it and check if anything had changed. We actually applied it to our children as well, as I mentioned, and it's effective for them as well. So there is a free online quiz. At 5 love languages. That's the number 5, lovelanguages.com/quizzes/love language. So you just go to the 5lovelanguages.com. That's the number 5, lovelanguages.com, and I'm sure you can search for quiz. That's something that you can go through and just have a quick test to see, help you understand what your love language might be, what your spouse's love language might be. And again, you can apply it to your family as well and your kids. I actually printed out copies of the love languages from the whole family, taped them to the bathroom mirror so I can see them in front of me. And it helps me to remember how each of them receives love. And so, if you want to really improve your aim, make sure you're having the conversation with your spouse. Don't just guess. And you can guess if you need to, if they're not participating in that discussion, but you can base it on what you know about them, or it's really better just to walk through it with them and talk through it with them. Try different things, see what works, do more of what works, less of what doesn't. And I would say be graceful and encouraging in any effort that your spouse makes towards loving you in your language. Build them up, appreciate their efforts. Don't make fun, don't mock, don't belittle their efforts. They're learning a new language. It's like if I was trying to learn Spanish or French and I wasn't familiar with it, small steps are important to encourage. You don't want to discourage someone because they can't speak fluently in the first week or 2 or a month. And avoid getting defensive. If you're learning about your spouse and how they receive love, honest feedback is important. So I want to hear from Tanya what is meaningful to her and what is not. I want to be able to express to her what is meaningful to me and what is not. Otherwise, we could be spinning our wheels in the wrong way, trying to show love to each other. You don't want them to be, you want them to tell you if it's going to work or if it doesn't, right? I mean, that's a real help. So anyway, we actually, Tanya and I, we work with couples as we help them heal and restore their marriages. We have a 90-day Marriage God's Way with MAA program. And this is one of the tools that we use and we help them walk through, because sometimes having a coach or a mentor who can walk you through how to apply these things in real life situations is a lot more effective than just a book, even though books can be great. So if you're struggling in your marriage, in building intimacy and really connecting and feeling loved, please visit our website, solidrockmarriagerestoration.com. Visit it now as soon as you finish the video. Learn about our 90-day marriage coaching program and our free Facebook group. Your journey to a more loving, fulfilling marriage can start today. And you can join us in building strong and lasting marriages, one love language at a time. So please check out how to get engaged with us on the website, and may God bless you. I'm glad you could join us. Hope this was helpful.